Hello again to another Agricolor React, and today we will be watching what? No, wait, that's the wrong one. That's not it. I have the title here, by the way. I should just read it from here, it looks better. Then it goes like this. It's the fascinating story of Britain's most traditional blue cheese, and why it can't be called Stilton. And it is from Claudia Romeo? Yeah, let's just jump into it. Oh, actually no. Let me just say the story about the blue cheese and me. I like it in really tiny little crumbs, and I like blue cheese dressing, but that's pretty much all. I can't have too much of the blue cheese dressing. I find it very overwhelming flavor. It's hard to kind of have it. I mean, yeah, probably with something like a little tiny crumbs, yes, from time to time, but not too much. So, okay, let's just go.
Meet Stilton. From the surface, this wonderful blue cheese has a lot in common with Stilton cheese, which many call the king of British cheeses. But between the two, there is one big difference. Stilton is made with raw milk.
We're on the Welbeck Estate in Nottinghamshire, England, and we're going to meet with Joe. He is the one who in 2006 sought to make this blue cheese with raw milk once again. Why? Because keeping the milk raw means preserving its unique flavors. So today, Joe is going to take us around the dairy and show us how Stilton is made.
So when you're using raw milk, you need to have time for the milk to express itself. We followed a recipe that we thought resonated with what was being made here traditionally 150 years ago in Nottinghamshire. And so Stilton, its whole purpose is to make a raw milk blue cheese where all the natural essences and subtleties of the milk have time to come through in the cheese making.
The day starts here, from these 2,500 liters of fresh milk. The milk is kept warm, but not too much to kill the bacteria inside it.
So this is just this morning's milk. We don't use the evening milk, we take it fresh from the cow, so it's not even really chilled if you touch this pipe.
Today we did...
Well, yeah, like, I mean, that's what the raw milk should be used, straight from the cow, I guess. So I'm guessing they're using like local farmers that they bringing in milk straight after the morning. What is it called in English? What's that called in English? I can't remember what the word is in English. Milking? Must be. Oh. Okay, this is... yeah, milking would be the most common word for it. Google came out with different word, but it just says doje? Oh, doje? Oh wait, it's a wrong language, guys. Google just changed and put like the Polish word into English and just did into Polish. Yeah, milking. Milking is the only word for it, apparently. So yeah, and wow, we got into a very long ad about some food and stuff. So yeah, what else I can say? Nothing really, because like I said, I do like the blue cheese, but not enough to buy it regularly and eating a lot of it. I guess maybe like crumbled up in some small pieces, like little tiny crumbles on like a salad with some with wings and stuff like that, and yeah, maybe that would be kind of nice, but yeah, we'll see. Okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna cut here, because you don't want to wait for me just staring at me for such a long time while I'm just watching this ad here. I still have more than 3 minutes left, so yeah, I see you in a second. Thank you. And so I'm back, and we're just gonna go back straight into the video, because I'm kind of curious how... I know it's basically pushing some kind of a fungus into the cheese, so the blue veins are coming up, so just watch and learn. How was it made?
It's actually warm. It's the body temperature of the cow.
Yeah, so it's like warm, but not like hot.
So no, not hot. It's should be around 27 degrees.
And that's the temperature that's gonna keep milk throughout the...
We are gonna feathered up to 29, but our recipe is quite interesting. Many cheese varieties create all the acidity that they need in a day.
Okay.
So in a few hours or something like that. But Stilton, it takes 24 hours for that acidity. It's much more like a French goat's cheese, very slow.
So it needs to ferment, like it needs time to ferment to get acid.
It takes 24 hours, which is very unusual, long, long time. But if you're going to make cheese for 24 hours, a tiny, tiny difference in temperature can make a huge difference over a day. If you're squeezing it in 3 or 4 hours, it won't make a difference, but 24 hours.
Yeah, that would
if
be
we
different.
say went to 30, we'd have a much more acid curd in the morning because 1 degree over 24 hours.
Yeah. So
Makes a lot.
those 24 hours, like every little change is
Tiny,
then
tiny,
heightened.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
So we have to be very accurate with temperatures
Absolutely,
and starter.
Thank you very much, girl.
The recipe is long but with little ingredients. Apart from milk, it contains another 4 ingredients: starter culture, rennet, salt, and Penicillium roqueforti, the blue mold that gives the cheese its blue veins. Most of the methods used to make Stilton are in fact very similar to its nemesis Stilton, but this video is not really about comparisons, but rather understanding how similar techniques can create 2 different cheeses if the raw material is different. Raw material, raw milk, no pun intended here.
We think there was something lost. So to be clear, I don't make a raw milk Stilton, I make Stilton because raw milk Stiltons are extinct. But what's been lost is if you've got a recipe like Stilton that takes 24 hours, the scope for that milk to show what it can do, the flavors that you get, is so much greater than in other recipes where you might only have 3 or 4 hours of fermenting in the vat. So when raw milk Stilton became extinct, British cheese really lost one of the shining gems of its traditions, cheese-making traditions.
Megan then adds the starter culture. She decides how much to put based on yesterday's batch. Because this recipe is so slow, even though she's adding a tiny amount, this will make a huge difference over the course of the 24 hours.
If we were making cheddar or something like that, we would be putting in 20 liters
Oh, really?
of starter instead of 20 mil.
Yeah.
So we were just discussing how to get a bit more acidity in here. And so we're arguing about whether to add a half a mil or a whole mil.
Oh, okay. Well, that's an important.
It's an important distinction.
It is very.
195.
Now it's time for Megan to add rennet, to split the milk into curds.
Wait for her to say action. Claudia, say action.
Action. Go. Perfect execution.
1 hour later, the curd is ready to be cut.
Cut away.
At this stage, the curd is too soft and moist to be manipulated, so it's left to rest for a few hours. Then there's the most delicate step for Joe and his team, hand ladling. They transfer the curd by hand from one vat to the other, ladle by ladle. As they do it, they need to be delicate. Any harsh movement could interfere with the fermentation of the curd.
All that curd gets sliced with a ladle, and it's almost like a Sunday morning when you cook a perfect egg and you don't want to break the yolk, because if you break the yolk, your Sunday's ruined. So that's how gentle we are with the curd.
Very interesting ways of thinking about eggs, I guess.
When you put it on the table, you slide it off as if you don't want to break the yolk, so you don't damage the curd. And we do that over and over and over until we build layers. And then all of that curd sleeps in that table overnight, and all of the acidification and drainage happens overnight.
This slow process helps keep the curd together, giving it structure, and acidifies it in a way that will give it a crumbly, creamy texture. The next morning, 23 hours after Megan added the rennet, the curd looks like this.
So we're looking for a nice sort of.
I wonder if that's because, you know, like they have those little holes here. Here. Those holes and stuff like that, and obviously they're gonna be in the cheese later on as well. So I wonder if that's why they're so delicate with their curd. After they cut it into little, you know, like squares and stuff, and then they ladled. They're saying they have to be very delicate with ladling and stuff to just keep those holes in it. I'm guessing this is where most of the blue part, the blue vein's gonna be in those holes, because there's where the air is. But I don't know. We'll see. I guess we're probably gonna learn.
Chicken breast. And you tear it. That sort
it's
of
got the same.
texture.
Yeah. So this is how you want it to be. Yeah.
Soft, giving but firm, with these sort of striations in it. So this was almost, we did the TA and it was almost perfect, 1.19. So it's ready to mill.
Okay.
It's now time to mill the curd, salt it, and place it into molds. This is actually the first thing that Joe and his team do in the morning when they get to the dairy. And as always, they keep their acidity in check, like Ross is doing here.
So Margaret's in charge of milling.
Okay.
So she's going to fill the bowl with pieces
Okay,
from
so
all
that's
over
not what I was
different
thinking,
spots
because they milled that,
of the
so...
trolley.
Oh yeah, that's.
Because they're different. So this is the deepest part. So there'll be more acid here because they're deeper and warmer.
Okay.
The edges are always cooler and less acid. And that end is less acid because it's shallower. So she picks different pieces from all over.
Oh wow, yeah. So because you don't want.
Although it melts into really
cheese to
big
then
pieces anyway.
taste, like very different. Like if you take
Yeah, so if we
everything
did
from one
from
side.
one end, that would be
only,
very
yeah.
soft and wet.
Yeah.
And this would be very acid and tight.
Okay.
So you mix it up.
And is this something that it's usually done? It's something you've just thought of because of the vat you have.
Yeah,
And you.
it's our equipment, so you have to know it. And
Yeah.
over the years, we figured out how to do it, so we get the more consistency.
Okay. Oh, that's why she's stacking some.
Oh, yeah,
down
out of the
there
way,
as well. Yeah.
so we have room to work.
It's like a cheese chessboard here, you know. So.
So Margaret's job is to mill, and she tries to guess how much curd it needs. She'll get pretty close. It needs 12 kilos. And then Ross will put it on the scale. She's over.
A bit over that. Okay.
So Ross will fix it.
Yeah. Well, he's using the scale, so that's it.
Yeah, so he'll get it right. And then he's gonna add the salt. So he puts in 500 grams of salt. So it should be 12,580. There you go.
Oh wow. Yeah.
And then he gives it to Lindsay, who does the mixing.
Oh, okay. So that's a well-oiled machine here.
And it just keeps going. Lindsay, you've gone all quiet again when someone pointing a camera at you.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, but it's basically it's made by hand as well, so it's a really cool thing as well. So that's I'll definitely be looking out for the cheese, but because it's a raw cheese and it's not pasteurized, it's really hard to find it. Any unpasteurized cheese, it's really hard to find it at this stage because it's unpasteurized, so there's risks in it. And but maybe still, I know the Stilton is available in Ireland. I never seen the Stilton, but I don't really pay attention that much, especially not to the blue cheeses. So yeah. Okay, another long ad, and this is just the first one. So I shall see you in a second. Thank you. Alright, I'm back, and I'll just jump into it and see what else is there to be making on the blue cheese.
The curd in this vat will give 36 wheels of Stilton, each weighing 12 kilograms now, which is then going to shrink to 8 kilograms.
It'll finish probably there.
Okay.
So, yeah, it was full, so more than half.
Okay, more than half. Okay.
Say 2/3.
Yeah, actually, yeah, you can see the difference from
Yeah.
in here already. There's one was filmed a little bit later. It's a little bit higher. Yeah.
And you can see how much whey keeps dripping out, so they'll lose a lot.
I'm guessing they're working in wellies.
Oh, thank you. Wow, that is salty. That's freshly salted. You can taste. Yeah.
But of course, you have to you add too much salt
Yeah.
because a lot of it
It's
comes
gonna
out.
drain. Okay, yeah, absolutely. Because he said he adds 500 grams.
Yes,
yeah.
for 12 kilos. So
Yeah.
that's like 4%. But when it finishes in the cheese, it'll be 2.1, 2.2.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's got that texture you were saying earlier as well. It's still creamy in your mouth, even though it's just the beginning, but you can taste that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just very fresh young curd.
So is this the size that you want to have?
Yeah, I'm sort of like walnut size, so that would be perfect. Because with a blue cheese, you want bigger curds, and when they sit next to each other, you don't want them to squish together too much, because then you don't have any space for the air.
You want a little bit of
So I was
air
kind of
to
right.
penicillium. Yeah.
Open structure so the penicillium can find all the little
Absolutely.
veins. And,
Yeah. So actually, this big, like this small chunks of curd, are then like you can see them, like individually because the penicillium will create the veins.
you've seen the veins.
So be able to see them
Yeah.
in the finished cheese.
The cheeses stay in the molds until they can hold their shape, and then go on to age for 3 to 4 months. During this time, they are constantly turned to hold their structure. At 5 days old, Joe will scrape the sides with a butter knife to keep the air out of the cheese, otherwise the blue mold would develop too soon.
We scraped these yesterday.
You can see that there's been something here, like you can see the knife
Yeah,
sort of.
just go up and down with the knife.
Yeah.
You can see the blue is starting already, so
Okay. Wow.
if we just left it like that, it would turn blue right away.
Oh really?
Yeah, which is bad because it needs time to drain and mature a bit
Yeah.
before it goes
Of course, yeah, because you still want the cheese to mature,
Exactly.
regardless of the formation of the blue veins. Yeah.
At 6 weeks old, the cheeses are pierced with a machine. That's when the cheeses will start to breathe, and the blue mold would take hold of them and start to develop the signature blue veins.
These have just been pierced. You can really see the holes. So those are quite mature.
Yeah. Ooh, the smell is much stronger.
Yeah, and the ammonia is stinging your eyes.
Oh yeah. Well, that's not good because I had a bit of hay fever this morning. Already.
No, it'll clear it right out.
Oh,
You'll be
yeah.
cured. Breathe deep.
It's actually really clearing up my nose, but I can feel it in my eyes. Yeah.
Yeah, you get used to it. So you can see how ripe it is.
Yeah, you see a bit crumbly, some little bits falling off.
That's good though. Nice open texture.
Yeah.
If it comes out as like a solid, you know you've got a problem. Some of them are kind of collapsing. You can see the juice running.
And it's funny how they all got a different shape. Like some are a little bit taller and some are a little bit.
Yeah, you remember what I was saying? Like if you make a batch that's all from soft curd, cold curd, you might get a slumpy one like that
Yeah.
because it has so much moisture in it.
Like they don't look like one another like at all. They're all different.
But they're family. They're all related.
Yeah.
So the first time I saw it, I was like, what are those things? Amazing. We've had people at markets come up and say, what are those? Are these stones or rocks?
You really?
Yeah,
Okay.
I've never seen cheese like in a hole.
Yeah, I agree. No, they do look like rocks. I think just because they're all a bit
Color, yeah,
they have this
structure.
white coloring as well. Like maybe this is how it looks like on the moon.
Yeah.
Hope it smells like that too.
Oh, yeah, wow, another ad. I mean, like, yeah, not a lot of people realizes how cheeses actually look. If someone is not interested in cheeses that much, doesn't look into it, they just like to eat cheese. So when they going out there and they see something like that, they obviously they're not ready for. I just got an ad for a Disney Plus in German. What's going on? I don't understand that. Anyway, I was saying, so if someone doesn't understand, like, doesn't know how cheeses are made, then they're going to understand like that. Some of the cheeses, especially blue cheese, is gonna be looking like that. To me, they don't look appetizing at all. And every time I see something about blue cheeses and how they look, the outside and things like that, I'm thinking like, who was thinking that this is the right thing to eat? I mean, like, why? Why did you think that it is gonna be fine and you're not going to die out of it? Anyway, we're back. The ads were short this time, so let's go. Stilton. Nah, appetizing, and I'm gonna. Oh, and they opened the kind of like. Yeah. It's a nice way to cut cheese, I guess.
Cheers. Wow. It's very sweet.
It's lovely, isn't it?
Yeah. Almost has some like honey notes. I don't know. Yeah, it's very sweet. I wasn't expecting that. I think a blue cheese, you think it's gonna be more pungent. You know, you're gonna get the same kick that I got when we went into that maturing room. You know, with all the penicillium.
More subtle. Well, we want it to be the cheese itself to come through. We don't want just overpowering blue flavors. And often with blue, you can get metallic, bitter, hot flavors.
Yes.
Let's try a blue part for you. You tell me. That's quite good, isn't it?
Thank you. It's almost green, yeah. It's a very greenish blue. It's more green than blue.
Which I like. Yeah. I don't like the too fierce blue. It looks too aggressive. But then what I'm going to do is I'll cut some of this from the rind. So that wasn't bad, right? It's not overpowering. The blue
absolutely not,
marries well with the cheese. Just cut this off. But try that, because that came from just under the rind.
Okay.
So it's almost a completely different cheese again.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. This one has a more pungent flavor, but it's not spicy. It's like it has more character.
I find it more savory, more meaty. More meat juice makes me salivate.
That's true. Yeah.
Whereas the middle blue
makes you thirsty. Yeah.
And I think I like that about our cheese because it's not without character. It has a lot of flavor, but it doesn't punch you in the face with big blue.
It's not mild, meaning with less taste. It has less of that spicy, pungent kick.
And
which
also,
is great,
what I think it has as an advantage over pasteurized cheese, that length. You can still taste those flavors.
Yeah.
You know, even a minute, 2 minutes after we've tasted it. Pasteurized cheeses tend to deliver all their flavor up front. They're very seductive and attractive up front, but then their flavor just disappears. And this is more like a fine wine where you can actually, you know, the finish is very long and you get those complex flavors going around your mouth. And they stay with you.
So what does this cheese pair best with?
Well, I'm not precious about it. I love it on meat. I love it on burgers and steaks. It's lovely. It's very popular with a sweet, like quince jelly.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so you got the piquancy of the blue, the sweet quince jelly. That's quite nice. I love it in hot salads. If you had a spinach salad with a hot balsamic and some bacon and some Stilton in there, that's nice.
I probably would have that too.
I've
nice.
tasted all the blue cheeses, but I think this one, it's particularly, just sweet. And,
is it your favorite?
Yeah.
Say it.
It's my favorite.
Even though Stilton may sound just like a play of words, its name has in fact a much deeper meaning than that.
Our partners in London, Neal's Yard Dairy, had a customer, an old chap who walked in, and he said, well, you must call it Stilton. I'm a member of the Ancient Place Names Society, and Stilton is the name, the old Anglo-Saxon name of the town of Stilton, found in this ancient document called the Lincoln Rolls from 900 AD.
That's interesting. That's a very good way to name it as well. Especially that they can't call it Stilton because didn't they say in the beginning because it's not from pasteurized cheese. It is made from unpasteurized cheese. So basically they can't really do it like that. So using the isn't a Stilton name, it's just basically name of the place that the cheese is made in. It's just like with champagne from Champagne and things like that. So the same thing for the cheese. So yeah, so Stilton is a very good way of calling it without actually, you know, going on to stealing the name of different cheese company or makers or something like that. So yeah, and there we are, and we can go back and listen to more about that name.
So why can't Stilton be called Stilton? Well, there are many reasons, but they can all be summarized with this sticker here. The Protected Designation of Origin, or PDO. It's a label created by the European Union to protect food recipes that reflect the climate, special techniques, and heritage of a specific country. Some countries, like my homeland Italy, have hundreds of them protecting all sorts of food, and yes, the UK still has theirs even after Brexit. The labels should be a guarantee that you're buying the real thing, the most traditional version of a product, of course respecting the EU's health and safety standards. But what if the product has evolved and tradition actually falls outside the label? That's exactly what happened with Stilton, which started to be pasteurized in 1989, got the PDO in 1996, and now can't be made with raw milk like it used to be.
Tradition can be shackling. You can be trapped by tradition. So you have to be careful. So I'd say we're a modern cheese rooted in tradition. Well, a small farmhouse producer, if they wanted to buy a pasteurizer, you're looking at £80,000, £90,000 for a big pasteurizer unit. So it's very difficult for a small farmhouse producer to make Stilton. Because of the rules about pasteurization, which of course is a modern adaptation. They weren't pasteurizing milk 150 years ago.
Stilton has a very different market than its pasteurized counterpart, selling to small cheese shops, dailies and markets across the UK. When Joe started making Stilton, he partnered with Neal's Yard Dairy, a cheese retailer in London, and the Welbeck Estate, a 150-hectare dairy farm in Nottinghamshire with a herd of 245 Holstein cows. It's these ladies that determine the taste of the cheese, which is different every day. Joe uses 400,000 liters of their milk a year to make Stilton. I'm sure you got it by now. Joe is not from around here in Nottinghamshire, and neither am I, obviously. But we love accents on this channel, especially when they can teach us more about cheese.
I started off, I was an American living in Holland, making Greek cheese for a Turk. That's how I started.
Interesting.
So I lived, it's true.
Diverse, yeah.
Very diverse. And what I instantly liked with cheese making, it has this duality to it, where it's a craft that takes good hard empirical science, microbiology, chemistry, but there's also a bit of alchemy in it. Little instinct, how you feel, experience. And I like that duality. Looking at Britain, it had the strongest farmhouse cheese tradition going, because they almost lost it in the late 80s when raw milk cheese was threatened with being banned. And so there was a real renaissance, a real rejuvenation of keeping the very last sort of hangers-on of these traditional farmhouse cheesemakers. And I wanted to be part of that tradition. So I moved to England in '98 and worked on a little biodynamic farm in Sussex. And then I moved to the Cotswolds and I made cheese for the Bamford family. And it was then that I was selling cheese to Neal's Yard Dairy, who then came to me and said, we've got this project we really want to do. And that's when we came up here to Nottinghamshire. So we looked for a farm in the right geographical area. And we found Welbeck Estates, and they had this lovely herd of cows, and they loved the project. And so in 2006, we started converting the barn and made our first cheese that year.
Wow. Do you think it has become a thing of its own now? Like, do you think that people that have tried it many times now have learned to appreciate it for what it is, like regardless of the whole backstory of Stilton, the PDO, the raw milk?
Yeah, I think we do have that recognition now, and people that know the story behind it.
Would you care, like, you know, to change the name to call Stilton, where you give them the flexibility? Like, do you even care about?
Of course I care.
Like so far. Like,
of course I care. But I care not for commercial reasons. I think food is important, and it's culturally important food sort of divides people that way. Those that think it's just a source of fuel and don't care where it comes from. But a lot of us think that it's more important. It resonates with rural skills and crafts and connects you to the land and people. And that's important to me. And that's why we make the cheese the way we do. And it's important to me to say we should be able to try raw milk Stilton.
If you like this video, please don't forget to click the like button and subscribe to the channel. I have a lot of other cheese videos for you, and there's gonna be more that I'll be shooting in the future, so keep an eye out. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.
That was good. I really like to learn about new things about food and stuff like that, because it is interesting. You should be able to learn and to be kind of interested in what we're eating and things like that. So there was a few breaks that I was talking about. It's very funny that the man, he's actually, I didn't got that about the accent, that he's American, but that he was in Holland doing Greek cheese for a Turk. That was funny. Yeah, so anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I see you tomorrow. Bye.